I hate when it does that. But how do we get in contact with the South Florida Blight Chambers of Commerce?
All right. Well, that's really simple. We do have a Facebook page for those people that are Facebookers, and we list all of our events there. We also have a mailing list. If you would like to get on our mailing list, you would just email us at info at S is in Sam, F is in Frank, L, L is in Larry, blackchamber.org. Info at sflblackchamber.org. And the SFL is South Florida, blackchamber.org. We just use the abbreviation SFL. And we do have our phone number that you can also reach out to us. It's 561 221 1091. That's 561 221 1091.
This is so inspiring. I'm really enjoying. I know you spoke of it, answered this question in your presentation, but I wanted to bring it up even more. Who are your targets?
Who's our target audience?
Mm-hmm.
It could be anyone who's aspiring to open a business, or if they have a business, or if they're looking to generate more income, getting their name out, what they do. And one of the things that they must do is to show up. Show up at every event. Show up at where you can meet people face to face. Oh my gosh, the networking event that we had, our first one, it was so beautiful just to see people connecting, because we are not necessarily shown in the best light. And that's certainly a marketing strategy. But we have people that are doing great things. But sometimes people don't want to see that. They are more inclined to see, oh, I'd like to see people fighting. I like to see violence. Well, that's not who a lot of us are. And I would venture to say that's not who most of us are. And there are going to be some. It doesn't matter what your background is, your ethnicity, that is always in existence, and you can track that back through time. But we're looking for people who are truly interested in building themselves, learning, becoming better, mastering what it is that they are seeking to accomplish, and then just continuing that cycle, whether or not they're kids. And as I said, we want to eventually bring in kids so that we can assist them in the process. They need to learn different things, different tools. My dad always taught us to have a trade, have something that in case that job goes wrong, you have something else that you can fall back on. And sewing was mine. That was my quote unquote side hustle, or my entrepreneurial journey. And my mom started me when I was 9 years old through embroidery, and then making my first apron. I was then able, over time, I started making my girlfriend's clothes. When I was in middle school, making my own clothes by the time I was in middle school. And when I was in high school, I started making my teacher's clothes. So that process, yeah, that process has been with me. And I loved creating things and putting things together. And I used to cover shoes. I did so many things that it was enjoyable for me, and it was enjoyable to sit back and see, oh my gosh, that really came out well. And I transitioned, I think once I had an experience, and I wish I had a mentor. I had the wedding from hell, and it was my fault for accepting an extremely short turnaround to make 9 dresses. Now, the dresses were completed, but it was the day of the wedding, almost to the hour. And I, I, I swore I would never put myself in that position again. And I moved away from it, but I should have stayed. But recognizing the mistake that I had made, never, ever, I don't care how much people plead, and, because they don't understand the time it takes. And working all day, all night, getting very little sleep, hiring someone else. And it was uncomfortable, but I felt so bad at the end of the day that I was out of it. Now, if I had a mentor, they would have said, you know what, you need to stick with what you're doing and just learn the lesson. And that's what I would tell anybody in business. You continue to keep falling forward. But the point is as Les Brown says, if you can look up, get up. And we know that through the things that we're not successful in, as long as we believe in what we're doing, if you believe it to the bottom of your heart, then you know what? There's nothing that can stop you. We're not saying that you're not going to have stumbling blocks along the road. You will, and you expect those, but it's how you deal with those that shows people your true grit. And do you really believe in what it is that you're doing, or is it just talk? And that's what we're trying to accomplish, to make sure that we have people and we can connect people that can help us along in our journey. So as a business, if I thought I have to do everything from home, oh my gosh, I love baking, I love cooking, but I only have this one stove. I could do more if I had multiple stoves or ovens or a nice space where I could do this. I'm really good at it. I bake really well, but I just don't have that space. And maybe there are conditions, I'm sure there are, under which you have to operate in order to sell your products, especially now. Are there allergies? Are there, any pets in the area? There's lots of things that we have to think about, but we may not know that until somebody says, oh, we're going to have to shut you down. Guess what? You don't have to do that. There's a resource, there's a facility. Yes, you're going to have to drive or create your own. If you have a problem and you have a solution for a problem, you can turn that into a money-making venture. Be the one in West Palm who has created that facility. Look for sources that can fund that for you. There may be other entrepreneurs, other independents that, look, you know what? Why don't we take a look at the Small Business Bureau, a Small Business Administration, see if they have any funding. Are there any government grants that are out there? Again, you have to work for it. You're going to have to look for it. It's nothing, we're not the microwave society. Things like this are going to take time. Building something takes time. You can build a house in a day, but if a strong wind blows it over, then what do you have? But if you build that structure over time and it's on a sturdy foundation, your results are going to be a lot different than if you do things hastily.
You know what? You are a professional. And let me tell you that the reason why I say that is that before I can get the question out, you already established it. And that is good. That's a good sign. That's saying to me, this is my passion. I want to share with others, share and to encourage, not only sharing, but to encourage and to motivate. And that in itself is a nugget. And I wish you much success. And that teaching that never left you, the educational part, is because I can see it. It means in everything you say. And I love that. Now, I want you to advertise yourself again, your business. And a little nugget uh, came to me, and I realized in an event that we had before that you have another passion. Can you just speak a little bit of that on the other entrepreneurship after you advertise yourself on the Black Chambers again?
Absolutely. Well, my name is Rita Pinder, and I am one of the co-founders and director of one of the directors. We have 4 directors of the South Florida Black Chamber, 5 directors. And we come together to establish and help Black businesses in whatever way that we can assist them. My other passion is a company that's called Legal Shield. I've been with them since 2006. And the reason why I'm passionate about Legal Shield is because in my past, I've had situations where we could have used an attorney, but we didn't know that this company existed. And actually, this is their 50th year. in business. They were not around before 1972. And I would not have been able to take advantage of a situation where a metro bus in Washington, D.C. hit us and the rear ended us and demolished our car. We weren't injured, thank God, but we could have used the services of an attorney. But instead, a an insurance agent who looked like us came to the house and said, you know, this is what the insurance company is willing to do. And basically, we received less than $1,000 to take care of the car because it was a Corvair. And I wish I had it because it was such a cool car. But it was destroyed. And we had a few medical bills that we weren't badly injured, just a few bumps and bruises. But you know that should have been a different situation. But because we were not accustomed to attorneys, we didn't know what to do. We just thought what we thought was best. And we thought that's all that there was. So now I realize the value of having an attorney on call with the company Legal Shield, that it's definitely needed. And we don't think about how we can use attorneys. We look at the shows, again, we're being marketed to, and we look at the shows like Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, Judge Judy, you know, all things negative that happen. But it's not always about that. Sometimes when you're mistreated, when you're trying to stop a service, when you have a product that's broken and you want it replaced and the company's saying, we'll ship everything back and we'll ship you some. We don't have to do that. We don't. And if a dry cleaner ruins your garment and then they say, we're not responsible, well, that's what they say, but it's not what the law says. If you're in possession of that, think about it. They're in possession and something happens to it. Well, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to be professionals at doing. And, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. Anything legal and also related to identity theft, which is huge right now. And identity theft, people don't understand how it can affect them. I've been studying identity theft since 2006. I have seen it grow from 6 figures to well over millions and billions because it's not a one-time event. One of the credit repositories had a breach, hospitals, you name it. So I don't care if you are on the computer or not. Anytime you go to an establishment, a doctor, your medical information, it's generated on the computer. And all someone has to do is to hack it. Think about it. If someone created a program to build a program that is going to protect your information, for example, or a website, guess what? If a human created it, a human can hack it because that's what they do. So it's ingenious how they think. I just wish they would apply it in a different way. But I'm always fascinated by it. I was fascinated when we used to have the credit cards that emitted a signal. But if you put that credit card up to a microphone, you could hear the signal or the tones that were being emitted, very much like the AOL when it first started, America Online, and you had that tone that you could hear that it was connecting. That's what the credit card sounded like. I was floored. And to technology today, where people have a card reader, it's a scanner, that they can be in a crowd of people walking through the mall, think about it, in the food court, and they're just walking around and they're scanning your information from the cards. And if you don't protect it via some kind of service, some kind of envelope, there's a small envelope that you can get that's coded on the inside that will keep those tones from hitting, or an an aluminum wallet that you put all your credit cards in and you keep that on your purse. And there's some companies that make that film that goes in to protect your credit cards in wallets already. So there are ways of doing that. There's ways of protecting yourself, but it's so much out there. You have to ask yourself, do you want to pay less than $1 a day to have that protection, or do you just want to solve it yourself? And you can. There's lots of resources out there, but we do know that it generally takes, on average, about 600 hours to get through that whole process. So you can either do it yourself, or you can pay $1 a day, which to me is priceless. So that's the company that I am in. The second company that I started because I'm a Toastmaster, and that simply means I've learned to speak to audiences I'm very impromptu-ish, that I can respond without thinking for 5 years about what I want to talk about or say. And that led me to a project in Toastmasters. I received a Distinguished Toastmasters designation, which means I gave more than more than 50 speeches and had some projects and some leadership projects to do as well. But out of Toastmasters came the Financial Blueprint for Children, which I have now nicknamed Money Mastery for Munchkins. And that is teaching kids starting at the age of 9 through 12. And I like that age group because they are just beginning to form opinions about money and other things. And we teach them how to budget. We teach them about the 3 pillars of wealth, aspiring to be an entrepreneur, just like my dad said to me, which I didn't realize that's what he was doing. Also, investing. We talk about investing, and when their eyes get really wide about, if I just do this little bit over time, I'll have this much money. And they just are amazed. And then we talk about real estate, because there are ways that I just learned in the past 2 years that we can, and people are probably already knew this, but I didn't know about the built-in equity that's in your home. I knew it was there, but I didn't know what it was there. But we're always supposed to use our money. We're always supposed to grow our money. And I think about one of the biblical passages where they talk about the talents that they gave, a gentleman gave his sons, and what they did with them. And when one put it in the ground to make it grow, I'm thinking, that's not going to happen. But maybe that wasn't supposed to be putting it in the ground. Maybe that ground was keeping it in the house. But I have learned that there's a multifamily movement going on, and you buy a multifamily unit, you live in one, you rent out the other 2, and those 2 will pay for that one. So you end up having that mortgage paying for itself. You don't have a mortgage, but in the meantime, you start saving your money as if you had one. And when that property gets to the point where you have equity, you now have what you have built plus the equity. You take that and you do the same thing again until you can purchase your own home, and you never have a mortgage. I thought, my gosh, I wished someone had taught me that principle years ago. I'm like, what do we do? I'm on it. So now I want to share that information with kids so that it opens and expands their mind as to the possibilities of just designing their own life. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want? What do you dream about? What it is that you want? Do you want to be vacationing, every month? Is it there's someplace you want to go to? Are there organizations you want to contribute to? Do you just want to have fun? Do you want to help someone else? Whatever it is that you want your life to look like, it can be designed, but you need to understand the basics first, and then you can build, once again, having that foundation and building upon that foundation. So by teaching my little munchkins, they amaze me at the things that they come up with. And 2 of the things that one of the kids had shared with their mom was, mom heard a conversation with the father and the son. And after completing my class, the son goes to the dad and said, they were in the store shopping, and said, "Dad, is that in our budget?" It was a large purchase. He was 9 years old. I was like, yes, he got it. He got it. And then the next day, she overheard him ask the father, "Dad, what kind of investments do we have?" Because he understood complex compound, how money works. So when you have that compound interest going on over time, and I was floored. He understood, because he's looking now to do the same thing just because his mind was opened. And lastly, the gentleman that I learned all this from, his name is Julian Gordon. And he, again, I invest in myself because I can see where that's of importance, and I can share that information with someone else. Plus, I can use it and say, I've done it and I understand how it works, and you can do it too. And what he said that made a lot of sense was, think about land. What was the value of land 100 years ago, 200 years ago, centuries ago? it was never more than what it is now. That property escalates in value. And when it escalates, that means that it's going to be valuable in the future. Well, you have to think about the return on the investment that you're making. It started out here, even now, whatever is bought at this time, it's going to escalate in value. It seems like a lot, and yes, it is, but over time it will escalate. And that's something that we have to teach our kids.
Thank you so much. So you're telling me I'm learning. Don't know. You all just bear with electronics. But you're telling me what I'm getting out from your full presentation is that the importance to start early. Yes, you can do things in your senior years, but you have to triple it. If you start at the base, it gets stronger and thicker, and you can reap the rewards sooner on the way. And thank you for that, to encourage us to start teaching our children baby age. I know that now that the millennials stated that what I didn't have, I'm expecting my children to have, and want to give them too much at one time. Anything I want, they get. But it doesn't teach them the patience. It doesn't teach them to recognize who we all are in business, but what side of the business that you're in. I heard a preacher say that once years ago, and it opened my eyes. I had babies at the time. And I said, what? He said, you are in the business of giving somebody, making somebody rich, or you in the business of making yourself rich. And I begin to thinking about that when I get ready to go out to eat, when I'm going grocery shopping. Who this money is going to? Who's going to get the benefit? I had a child that I have a child that in his primary years, he was working at a company, and he hadn't come home. And there's a benefit of being pregnant because you think more. And I was laying on that bed and I said, my child have to go to school the following day, even though I'm homeschooling. This person's child is in bed getting ready for school, getting his rest. And my baby working? I told my child, you better hurry up. I gave him a time limit to get there to home. He found himself home. And I told you not working there anymore because she's making money off of you. You're not getting your rest so you can learn how to make money for yourself. So it is important to keep our generational wealth. We have to train our youth at an early age. Let them know that there is a time and a season to have our pleasure, but it's mandatory that we must work for it. And I like this. You have enlightened my eyes more, Miss Pender, than you ever know. This is an opportunity. This podcast is to help our community. It has been involved from one stage to another. If any of you are interested and be on my podcast, give me a call at 561-291-4564. Like Miss Pender, she gave us a reason why she joined Legal Shield. And this is a platform for those that have Legal Shield or as a member or as an associate. We want to encourage people. We want to put out here what the benefits that it will be for our community, because this is a community thing. Like I said before, if one part of the community is lagging, everybody's lagging. So we want to build, to encourage, and to establish our community. And this is podcast. That's our passion and our drive. Again, if you want to be on our podcast, please call me at 561-291-4564. Ms. Pendle, I'm grateful for you fully. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to meet you and to know more about you. If anything new come up, anything exciting that you want to share to the community, don't hesitate. You are more than welcome to come back.
Yeah.
Again,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Again, thank you all for allowing us to share the passion that we have. Bye-bye now.